Hey guys, it's Brigitte, and I'm going to talk about the top 3 downfalls or mistakes that you can make with the low and lean system. Now, if you don't know what the low and lean system is, it's a system we've talked a lot about because it's basically a commercial way of growing your pole or indeterminate tomatoes. And we've taken that, we've put it in a garden setting, and it's really awesome. You can get tons of production on a very clean, organized system. I can't say enough good things about it, but let's be realistic. There's also downfalls or mistakes that you can make, and I'm going to talk about the top 3 in this video. So if you don't know what the low and lean system is, we've got tons of videos on them, and I really recommend that you check them out. But I'm just going to jump through a couple of key points here. So basically, the low and lean system, it requires a tomahawk, which is what this piece is, and string. And the string goes down into either a stake that is put into the ground. So you can see this is actually independent of the tomato plant. We have the string, it's staked, you can see here, get a nice close up there. It's staked directly into the ground. Or you can also just clip this string directly using a plant clip. So there's a couple different ways you can do that. And again, we got videos that really go in depth on this. But the general idea is that indeterminate or pole tomatoes that grow like a pole, long and lean and lanky, which is a lot of our heirloom varieties, will actually grow on 1 leader up this string, and we'll keep training it, and it'll keep growing up and keep growing up and keep growing up. And as the plant gets longer, we will lean it and lower it. So it will continue to grow. The beautiful thing about this system is even though this trellis is, I guess about 6 feet tall or something, because I'm, 5'8", I don't know, 6.5 feet tall, something like that. We have 35 feet of string. And if you've grown an indeterminate tomato, you know that they grow that's why we call them pole tomatoes. They just grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, and they're just so long. And if you try to grow them on just a trellis, or God forbid, you try to grow them in a tomato cage, it's a mess waiting to happen. It's frustrating. The plant gets really out of control, and then you have pests and disease issues because you haven't kept up with pruning. It's really a problem. So this is a great way for gardeners to keep their plants, their indeterminate plants, nice and clean and organized, and really maximize growing in a very small space. We're going up off the ground, not out. And so you can cram in a lot of crops alongside this because I'm really only taking up an area that's really a couple feet wide and however many feet tall you want to build this trellis. Now let's talk about this trellis. This is originally the trellis that makes you jealous. We learned this from our friend Josh, and it's so simple. It's basically a T-post, conduit, so this is electrical conduit. The thicker the better, because if it's too thin, then the weight will pull it down, and a PVC T. Simple Simon, okay? You build this trellis, and I do recommend that you take note of this because you can use this for many different types of growing, not just the low and lean, but it is a way in which it allows us to have the string go from the base of the plant or into the ground up to the top of here on the low and lean system. Now again, what's really cool about the low and lean too is I actually originally learned how to do this with cucumbers. So there's a lot of different ways you can use this system. It's very common in greenhouse growing where space is a premium, so that you can get a lot of production off a very small space. Check out those videos I have on exactly how to do it. But if you're watching this video, you likely are aware of how it is or what this process is. And I want to talk about 3 very common mistakes or problems that people have with the low and lean. Now, before I get into that, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so that I can help you grow the best garden possible in zone 9 and 10. So the 3 top most common mistakes or issues that people have with the low and lean are as follows. Number 1, not growing the right type of tomato on this system. So this system is specifically for indeterminate pole tomato. So think about any tomato that grows really wild and really long and takes a lot of structure to trellis. This is a great option for that. And one of the reason being is, like, if we look at this, we've got some pole tomatoes here. These are actually cherries, which are a great option for this type of system. We want it to grow up this vine, and we want to be able to control its growth and its production by using this string. So that's the pole part of it, or the, you know, a lot of the heirloom varieties that grow really wild. The reason why we went indeterminate types of tomatoes is because we want to be able to go along this trellis and harvest from the bottom up as things ripen. This system is not as great for determinate type of tomatoes because those tomatoes will give all of their fruits almost all at once, which kind of doesn't lend itself great to a system like this. We want to use this system so that as we go through, the tomatoes that are on the bottom are going to ripen first, and we're going to harvest those. And the plant is going to continue to grow up this string, and we're going to continue to come out every single day or every couple of days and harvest. This is really popular with market growers or greenhouse growers because they need to have production every single day, maybe for their community supported agriculture boxes, or maybe because they're selling produce to restaurants and things like that. That's why this system is best set for indeterminate pole tomatoes. Let's talk about some that would not work well on here. Our famous dwarf tomatoes. They don't need this complicated of a system. Dwarf tomatoes are not great for this. Determinate tomatoes, as I mentioned, not a good fit for this. Micro tomatoes, really small tomatoes, again, don't need this type of system. You don't need to do this much work for the benefit of getting the regular harvest. Next, let's talk about number 2, height. Okay, so these tomatoes, and if you've ever grown something like a purple Cherokee or a black crimp, you know those things can get like 13 feet high. Well, this trellis is not 13 feet high. And one of the issues is, especially if you have a really productive tomato, is the tomato on the bottom will actually not even be ripe before the plant reaches the top up here. So height is a problem, and one of the ways in which you would combat that in like a commercial setting is you want to prune often from the bottom up, and you really want your first set of tomatoes to start to come on as soon as possible before the plant gets all the way to the top. The other option you have is you could do topping. And that's basically where you're telling the plant, like, hey, no more growing from the top because we want you to focus on producing your tomatoes on the bottom. Now keep in mind, if you do top your plant, then you will have to find a second leader, which usually comes from another sucker, to continue the growth process. So it does take a little bit of thought, and understanding the biology of the plant and how the plant grows is always really helpful. But this is a perfect segue into issue number 3, which is just how much work this is. Now, I never said it was easy. And trust me, if you know this system because you're using it in your market garden or your greenhouse, you know that it takes constant care and that you're looking at it probably daily. So in a commercial setting, the way this application works is they might be growing it in a greenhouse and they're going through every single day. And they are pruning the plant, they're getting rid of any suckers, they're pruning off any leaves that are too close to the ground to prevent disease from coming up. And they're also training the plant to go up the string, and they're also doing a really good job of getting rid of suckers. Now we actually have an example here. Do you mind if I do some pruning on your tomatoes?
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna snap it off, not a big deal. So here's a really good example. Starting at the bottom, we're growing up, and you can see there was a sucker there, we got rid of it. There was a sucker there, we got rid of it. Coming up, we have a sucker right here, right before we have a bunch of flowers. Now, if you follow that energy, the energy will come up here and get sidelined into growing the sucker versus putting on fruit. We don't want that. We want as much energy as possible to go into fruiting. The cool thing is, you can actually stick this in a pot of really good seed starting mix, and you can root this and then give it to your neighbors. You can compost it, do whatever. But this is a sucker, and we want to get rid of that, preferably when they're little. Ideally, you want to get rid of it when it's like this stage, because that's a lot less wasted energy than this stage. And that is why coming out every single day, in fact, kind of making a habit of it, it's really great, like maybe with your morning coffee and your evening tea, you come out and you do this pruning process to stay on top of it. I don't want the plant to waste energy on this. Really, this is already wasted energy, but I've pruned it off nevertheless, and I want to continue to stay on top of that. Here's another one. I'm going to get rid of that. So that the only place energy has to go on into this plant is really concentrated on this bunch of flowers so that I get my first blooms. Now, What I will also do is continue to clip this to my string here, and you want to make sure that you clip it in a way that you're not going to smash your string of tomatoes. And that's what you need to do on the daily. Now, it's not a lot of work, as you can see, but you got to remember to do that. And in the height of spring and summer, when 18 million things are happening, it's very easy to get distracted and have other things going on. And then before you know it, the tomatoes are out of control. You have several leaders. You don't feel like you know where to do the pruning. And then you're just like, oh, the heck with it. It's out of control. So stay on top of it every single day. And that's going to make for a really productive low and lean system, and you're really going to see the benefit of it as you're coming through here, and every day or every couple of days you're harvesting good quality, beautiful looking tomatoes to enjoy in your kitchen.